Hi, my name is Dave Garland. I'm head mechanic for Team Chain Reaction Cycle's 2011 Nuke-Proof Downhill team. Today we're going to be taking you through some basic maintenance tips on how to keep your bike working good whilst you're out on the trail. Okay, so after we've washed the bike, we've done a 4-point wash, which is upside down, left, right, then up, right, and then left, right again. We bring it into the workshop and we're just going to go through some fairly basic sort of safety checks really. Number one, we start by checking the brake hoses. Just run your fingers down each hose and feel if there's any flat areas or areas that have been nicked by a tree or any rocks. I can feel here that there's a slight area that's been flattened, so we may need to replace that hose there. Same with the rear. If you work your way down, follow the hose all the way back to the rear caliper, again checking for any flat areas or any cuts in the hose. With your gear housing, it's really important that you check the areas that rub against the frame and your mount points, again just to check that the outer plastic housing hasn't begun to wear away. Sometimes the gear cables can look okay, but if you go to shift on your next ride, sometimes the actual outer can shatter like this, which basically collapses the gear housing and you won't be able to change gear. Okay, after you've checked your gear housing, you can move along to your drivetrain. Again, after you've cleaned it, given it a good clean, you can see immediately if there's any problems with the chain. Normally, if you just run your fingers along the chain very lightly, you can pick up if there's any sharp areas on the chain. So if you do feel like a sharp area, just double check, find out what's happened there. You could have glanced across a rock or something, check for any stiff links. Really, just listen to the drivetrain, listen to see if the sound is consistent all the way along. But it generally means if you've got a good condition drivetrain, you won't hear any audible changes. So it's good to listen basically to what your drivetrain sounds like. Moving back to your rear mech, again, catch hold of the lower cage and just move it side to side and see if there's any excessive lateral movement. Again, just checking the pivots around here, see if there's any rock scrapes on the pivots that could cause the mech to actually have a stiff point in its shifting. Then basically just go through all your gears with your shifter up and down a few times to make sure everything is smooth. After that, really it's just a case of checking your caliper, pad and rotor alignment. Just make sure that everything is running free, make sure your rotor is dead true. And one of the most important things which people tend not to check is that both the pistons in the caliper are doing exactly the same work. Make sure that one isn't further out than the other, and you'll always get consistent braking if you remember that everything is dead in line and both pistons are doing the same amount of work. After that, you basically start looking around your pivot area. In this case, the Mega's got all bearing mounted pivots, very, very strong. They each have sealed bearings. You've got 2 upper, 2 mid, 2 lower, and 2 on the rear seat chainstay. Again, very easy to check to see if those mounts are working correctly and they're smooth just by removing your lower shock mount, lifting the rear end up into its full travel and back down, and really just feeling if there's any notchiness or rough feeling coming from a bearing. If it does, you can isolate that bearing, contact your Nuke-Proof dealer and they'll be able to help you out with some new linkage bearings. After that, move back along the left-hand side of the bike, really again just checking your rear brake hose, just making sure that around the crank area it's not been rubbed away by your pedaling or shoes or any pads that you might have on. Then move up to the front of the bike again, double check your levers, make sure nothing's been bent on your levers. Feel your actual levers are consistent, have got a good solid feel. You can feel the pad touching the rotor, which means that there's no air in the system. They've just got a very good solid feel to them. After that, you can go over to your fork area. One thing you need to pay attention with your fork, around the seals, make sure that you've got all the dust and mud that sit directly on top of the seal next to the stanchion. If there's any debris or mud that's left there, you can simply get some cloth, wrap it round and remove any dirt. After that, then you're just down to lubing the rest of the bike, which we'll do next. That really completes all your bike maintenance.